Hi, come on in.
I was gonna say, I think this might be the place.
Come on in. It's just me, but come on in and sit down. I just hit record. So most members are online right now. But I'm Morgan.
Hi, Sid Vanderway.
Hi, Sid.
Howard.
Hi, I'm Howard.
Howard, Tom. Great. Thanks. Nice to meet you. Come on in, have a seat. We just have to do a few of our kind of introductions and meeting startup logistics, and then what? Okay. So first, so it's just a little after 1. So we're going to officially call this meeting of the AIB to order. As a reminder, this meeting is being recorded as public record, and that participation in a recorded meeting will be deemed as consent to be recorded, including statements both written and oral. Public records, including this recording, can be requested at any time in accordance with the Vermont Public Records Act. Hi, Jonathan. So I am going to first go through and just do our introduction of the members that are on the call with us. So for members in the room with myself, I'm Morgan Griffith. I work with the Agency of Agriculture, and then
Jonathan Chamberlain, crop consultant.
okay, so then online for members,
Amanda St. Pierre, dairy farmer.
Thanks. Laura?
Laura DePietro, Agency of Agriculture, Water Quality.
Thanks. Steve Dwinell?
Steve Dwinell, Agency of Agriculture, Plant Industry.
Leon?
Leon Korth, organic dairy farmer.
Thanks, Leon. Abby?
Abby Pajak, Department of Environmental Conservation, CAFO Program Manager.
Sean?
Sean Lucas, UVM Extension Agronomist in the Middlebury office.
Thanks, Sean. Pam Wadman?
Hi, I'm Pam Wadman with the Department of Health. I'm a human health risk assessor and toxicologist.
Thanks, Pam. And I saved our newest member for last. We have Jamie Hamilton joining us today. So Jamie, if you can give just a bit more of an introduction, just so people know what you do and what your expertise is in. And thank you so much for joining us as a member of AIB.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, my name's Jamie Hamilton. I'm a first generation beef cattle operation down here in central Vermont. We're in the town of Brandon. We run about 400 head of beef cattle right now. We're grass-fed, grass-finished cattle operation. So we raise our calves from day 1 all the way up until they're finished, and we market about 85% of that beef now direct to consumer, and the remainder of it, we sell feeder cattle and replacements to other farms and other wholesale markets.
Great, thank you. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so other people we have joining us today, I'm going to go back to the room here. So if you guys just want to just do a quick introduction, you can give more of it in detail when we talk a little bit more about it.
I'm Howard Vanderway, Ferrisburg, Vermont. I run the dairy farm over there, milking 280 cows right now. Raising all calves from baby calf all the way up through milking animals, or right around almost 500 animals.
Thanks, Howard.
I'm Tom Ferguson. I work with Howie and Sid on the farm. Sid Vanderway, also work on the farm. Take care of all ins and outs of the dairy.
Thank you guys so much for coming to join us.
Hey, Morgan, this is Steve. Is there a way to swivel the camera so we can see you speaking? Or
I don't know how to. Anyone know how to fix this? Yeah, right. I know they're across from me. I don't know why it's doing that. I can try, and when I leave my spot, it will come back maybe, but.
Do you want us to move over?
There you go. That did something. Maybe all sit on the same side of the table. I don't know.
Shoot a laser ray or something.
Now it's just Jonathan.
Now it's just John. Oh, there you guys are.
Okay, so I tried. Is that look slightly better?
Yes, we can see more people in the room. Thank you, Morgan.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay,
Thank you.
continue through our introductions of those of you joining online. Pam Breyer.
Hi, everyone. I'm Pam Breyer, agrochemical toxicologist with the Agency of Agriculture, Division of Plant Industry.
Brooke.
Hey everybody, Brooke Decker, Agency of Agriculture in the Plant Health Division, Pollinator Health Specialist.
Jill.
Good afternoon, Jill Goss. I am an agricultural input specialist with the Agency of Agriculture in the Plant Health Industry.
Jill Clark.
Clark Parmalee. I'm with the Vermont Agency of Agriculture. I'm an inspector in the Plant Industry Division.
Stephanie.
Stephanie Smith with the Plant Industry Division. I'm a deputy director.
Sylvia.
So, excuse me, Sylvia Knight with the Vermont Pesticide and Poison Action Network, observing today.
Thanks, Sylvia. Zach.
Zach Shikowski, Agrochemical Program Manager, Division of Plant Industry.
Jessica.
Jessica Tessier. I'm a field inspector with the Plant Industry Division.
Okay, I got everyone, I think, on the call. Great, thank you so much for joining us today. So the first thing, I sent out the minutes. The last time we met was December 8th, 2025. So happy 2026, everyone. I didn't hear about any edits to the meeting minutes, so those are posted online on our website and also just available to members through our SharePoint. And also, since we last met, we submitted our annual report. So our annual report we have to submit to the legislature by January 15th every year. And so thank you to the members who read it, gave some edits, and that final report was submitted on January 15th to legislative reports, but then also to the House and Senate Ag committees. And so then that report is available online through the legislative reports website, but also it's on our SharePoint too. So thank you all for reviewing that. Yeah, go ahead, Leon.
Yeah, I just want to thank you, Morgan, for putting that report together. I thought you did a great job.
Well, thank you. It's my job to just kind of put it all on paper, but you guys do the thinking. So thank you. Yeah, it makes it easy when we're, have really good conversations. So thank you guys for your input and participation. Okay, so without further ado, I was going to have our special guests here in attendance kind of talk through. So just as a reminder, we talked about this in December. So we've invited Vanderway Farm here to talk about how they have practices or cover crop, specifically cover crop termination strategies that reduce pesticide use. So this is part of one of our, we have like a whole list of things that we could address, right? As AIB, you know, I think there's 13 things that we are charged with, right? And so obviously we can't do all 13 things at once, right? So we pick and choose and or use a survey to try and guide us to our priorities for that time being. So of those charges, one of them is about making recommendations of strategies that help reduce synthetic fertilizers and pesticides without compromising agricultural production, basically. And so we're super interested in to hear kind of how you go about it as farmers. So you're kind of here to teach us about what you've learned and what works and what doesn't work and kind of your thought process behind it. So the floor is yours.
Welcome, everybody. So I'm pretty much in charge of running the crops end of the dairy. I do all the cattle feeding and Sid. So there's for 100% of the animal, just kind of a little joke between Sid and I, you know, I take care of the front end and the back end, which relates to feeding and the crop end and manure management and feeding the crops. Sid takes care of the center of the animal health, the breeding, and all of that. So if he doesn't do his job, I don't have a job. And if I don't do my job, then he don't have a job. So we're both, I guess, kind of accountable to each other, sort of. And Tom's stuck in the middle, you know, whatever. And he tells both of us what to do. So, you know, that's a good employee, you know, so. So give a brief history way back, way we've transitioned everything to the farm. We don't have to go into detail much of it, but we used to be a robotic dairy. And we now transition back to milk parlor milking. And when we were in the robots and things just weren't working the way they should have, and we just knew there was a better way. So things just started clicking in our head, and we became aware that there was a lot of things that weren't being done or being said, and we were never given correct answers to our questions. So we kind of moved on from that, and now we're back into the crop side of things, you know, whatever. But we realized that when we were asking questions or doing things on the land was always telling us, or everybody else was telling us, we need to put more on. We need to put more on of this and more on of that. And I said, no, that's not the right way. So we started in the cover cropping, boy, I don't know, must have been at least probably 15 years ago now. Started small and we just enhanced from there. But we noticed that the soils were always changed when we cover cropped. And we just disc harrowed everything in, or moldboarded, plowed everything in. And that was our termination practices. Then we did some use of the Roundups and all of that, the pesticide usage to kill off some of the cover crops. But when we did that, we noticed from what we disc harrowed in or moldboarded, plowed in, those fields that had the chemical uses on there did not produce as well as when we put in the green crop in the ground, the cover crop. So it's like, hey, what's going on with that? So we just kept expanding on that. Right now, we are 100% we don't use any synthetic fertilizers. And when we started doing that, we had a yield drop. We didn't go 100% right away, but we had a yield loss. And that was been about 5 or 6 years ago we started that. And every year, we didn't notice so much of a yield drop on the first year, but the second year was very noticeable. But then on the third year, hey, the yield was the same as year number 2. It's like, okay, well, that's all right, you know, whatever. Year 3, yield was better than year 3. And every year, and the crop is changing, the land is changing. we're still not there at 100%, you know, whatever, where we were with synthetic fertilizers, but all our soil health is considerably better. That's where we've gone with that. It's a little non-traditional, I guess, from what everybody else is doing, using, you know, the moldboard plow or disc harrows or some chisel plowing, but we feel it's right for the environment because we don't have any of all the pesticides out there in the land. We have tried no-till. It doesn't work for us. It's to be, if you want to be no-till, you got to be 100% reliant on too much chemical usage. That's the only way you're going to get the crops to be growing, to keep the weeds under control, kill your cover crops. And when you're out there putting all the chemicals out there on the land, it's not good for the soil. And that's what's suffering. So if you guys want to say anything more yet, or Ken, if anybody's got questions, go ahead and ask. We're willing to answer some questions. No issues with that at all.
There's a few questions that I'll save mine. Leon, go ahead.
Yes, I'm an organic dairy farmer, and we haven't plowed any of the 350 acres that we utilize in more than 40 years. So my curiosity for you is, how do you manage fertility if you aren't using chemical fertilizer?
We're applying manures, and we have multiple manure sources from our own farm. So we're applying some liquid manure that comes from the dairy cows, and that's the only liquid manure that we have. So a light application of that goes out, and then we go back for the next cutting. If this is hay applied, and we'll spread out a little bit of composted manure and put that down. And then the next cutting, you know, then we'll put a little bit of liquid manure back out there, so we keep rotating back and forth.
Thank you.
Steve, you have a question?
Yeah, thank you. And thank you guys for coming in and talking to us. Really appreciate the information. I guess I'm just trying to, so maybe I just didn't follow what you were saying. So you do use cover crops?
Yes, we do.
Okay, and then so how do you terminate the cover crop or plant back into, I assume you're growing silage corn?
We are, yes.
So what happens between the cover crop and the corn crop?
That is either most of it is all disc harrowed into the ground.
Right.
Instead of it, if we need to moldboard plow it, we would, but we don't have to. Because of the years of the cover cropping, disc harrowing seems to be enough, and the soil's loose enough, so we get a good killing aspect with a disc harrow. And then we go back, and then we plant into that.
And you get enough weed control in that situation?
That's an ongoing struggle a little bit. We're still doing a little bit of spraying, but we've noticed in the last several years when we're spraying, we're actually really pissing off the weeds, and we're not killing them. Because of our soil health, I think the soil microbes is fighting off the chemical that's supposed to be killing the weeds. And the weeds do turn brown, but they don't die. And it takes them several weeks, almost a month, and they're hindered back, but they turn around and they come back with a vengeance, because now they're mad. Because you tried to kill me, but now I didn't die.
So which herbicide are you using?
That I don't really 100% know, because the spraying guys come in and take care of that.
Okay,
I do
use a
have
custom-
record of that.
You have a custom applicator come in and treat it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
And that's been ongoing for the last several years now already, probably last 3-4 years, just getting worse and worse. So we've been trying to growing the corn, because we want to eliminate all the pesticides usage or herbicide. We're trying to find a nurse crop that we can grow with the corn. A low growing nurse crop that can kind of grow with the corn, but smother out keep the weeds under control. That's a little bit of it's off the wall way of going about it, but I think it's out there. We just have to find the right nurse crop to go with it. But this year we tried growing white clover. I think it was a bad year to try it because we were so dry. White clover couldn't get going because that's a low growing crop. It didn't really materialize. It started finally growing, in September when we had some rain. So that's a little late, whatever. So instead of growing the corn, we've kind of transitioned into growing sorghum Sudan.
Oh, okay.
And that way we don't have to dealing with trying to grow corn anymore.
Okay.
It's not providing us with enough energy for what the cows need, but it eliminates all of the herbicide usage. Because now you put down at a heavier rate and the field is covered and you don't need to do anything.
And you do that after you disc harrow in the cover crop?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, okay. And I'm sorry, I keep asking so many questions. Just one last. What's your predominant soil type?
Some of the soils is light loamy clay, and then the rest of it is medium to heavy clay.
Okay, great. Thank you.
John?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Tom, Sid, and Howard, good to see you, and thanks for coming in. I'm glad you brought up the sorghum Sudan. That does have some weed inhibiting properties. So can you talk a little more about how you use that on the farm? And like, I mean, what is your rotation strategy with that? You kind of work it through the fields in the course of a crop rotation, correct?
Yes, we do. Yes. So right now we're thinking on how to best apply that, but that is putting the sorghum Sudan after a corn crop. So the corn crop, what we're noticing is when we're taking a field out of hay production, that would be our first year corn, because the weeds aren't as proliferate, if that's a proper word, whatever. But so now you follow that with sorghum Sudan. And that's what we're noticing seems to be the better. We have tried sorghum Sudan 2 years in a row, and that seems to be doing actually better than what they say you should not be doing. You should not be growing sorghum Sudan on the same field 2 years in a row. But we're getting away with that because we're applying a nurse crop with the sorghum Sudan. So that way we don't have to go back and cover crop after the sorghum Sudan. It's all done in one pass. So the cover crop comes in and starts growing, or even will be growing with a sorghum Sudan, or it starts growing after the sorghum Sudan starts to slow down in the fall. So the cover crop is already established.
And I will comment, if I'm allowed, I'll comment that I've been working with Sid, Tom, and Howard for the last year and a half. And some of the work that I've done with them is on soil health. They were part of the Farmer Soil Innovator Health Network that Heather Darby's team coordinated with my team in Champlain Valley. And, you know, soil health, it's hard to interpret the data sometimes, and it doesn't mean everything if your yields obviously aren't where you want them to be. But I will say that on Netok Farm, I tested 12 fields and sent them off to a Cornell assessment of soil health, and every field tested high or very high. I think 10 of the 12 were high, and then 2 of them were very high. So, and they do have pretty good soil tilth. It's a little easier, it seems like, to get a penetrometer down in their fields than it is some of the other fields around that I've tested. So from a soil management perspective, you know, I think they're on to something.
But we're not 100% where we know we want to be yet either. So we're still in the growing stage and learning stage.
Yep.
And I guess in the learning stage or whatever, that's because there's not a lot of help out there for what we're doing. I guess we're kind of just doing it on our own because that's what we're going to do, whether everybody else says we should not be doing it, but we're going to do it anyways. Because we feel at the farm that the pesticide usage and the herbicide usage and the chemical usage is knocking on our door right now that we can't use it anymore. And we're going to be at the forefront, and we are in the trial stages and learning of everything before we are forced to, we have to move away from all of that. That's where we see all of what we're doing is coming and is going to. Just because of we're hearing, you know, of all the regulations of what's going on over in Europe, and my parents, you know, whatever, moved from Netherlands, you know, whatever, way back in, you know, the mid 60s, you know, so we have ties back there, and just the regulations over there is just horrendous. And we feel that those regulations are coming here. And I don't want to be stuck in the middle of one day you guys just say no more pesticides or herbicide usage, and like, okay, that's fine. We're already not doing it anyways, and everybody else is scrambling. We see that's coming. It's here. Not to be knocking on anybody else's door, you know, but it's time that we get out there and we make this more known. And if there's any help, you know, whatever, you know, not that we're looking for help, but just, you know, it's what's here.
Jamie, did you have a question?
Yeah, sorry. I just was curious what you guys were doing on the nitrogen end of things. Did you say you've gone completely away from commercial fertilizer as well as pesticides, or are you still utilizing like a starter fertilizer to get some of that nitrogen on that initial, you know, when you're putting seed down and stuff?
No, we are not using anything for starter fertilizer for nitrogen source of anything of that.
Okay, are you utilizing chicken manure or anything like that for a manure product that's higher in nitrogen, or you feel?
No, we're not. We're just using our own manure.
Okay, yeah. So
I will say one thing that we are putting down, and we have been in the last probably 5 or 6 years now applying microbes. It's not a starter fertilizer, but you know, it's a microbe package that we are applying at seeding down for corn. That's put down at a gallon to the acre, and it's all full of microbes. And they're more microbes to break down the organic matter. When feed on the organic matter from the manure, from the cover crops, and that's what the basis of that micro package is doing. And they proliferate themselves, but they are also in that package is microbes that will help bring in a little bit of nitrogen source from the air that when they are feeding, they are producing, whatever, a little bit of nitrogen from the bacterias and the organic compound that they are breaking down.
I just was curious because obviously manure is a lot higher in phosphorus. So I was curious if you felt you were having to apply additional manure to get the adequate nitrogen that you need, or if those nurse crops and, like say, those microbes were compensating for that.
They're all compensating for all of that, so we're not applying any extra nitrogen.
Okay, thank you.
You guys have a lot of clover in your hay fields as well, all right? And those rotate out of hay from time to time and into corn and into other crops, right?
Correct.
So you're getting some of that nitrogen. You're capturing nitrogen from some of that clover as well.
Yeah.
Correct. And that's what we've noticed too with all the not putting any nitrogen out there in the field as in the urea source, and throughout there for nitrogen, all of the natural clovers have all come back into the hay fields because we've gotten rid of the synthetic fertilizers, and that's made the soil healthier, allowing the natural clovers to come back in.
Are you guys planting clover? I'm sorry, I didn't put my hand back up, but you guys are planting clover too, right? There was an awful lot of red clover there out in the fields this spring.
Yes, when we're doing seed down, the red clover is planted.
Yep.
But on the fields that are already in standing hay fields, those all have come back in natural.
Do you inject your liquid manure or is it broadcast?
We used to inject, and we're now just top spreading it. And our personal feeling is injecting is the worst thing you could be doing for the land. You're applying too much manure in a tiny little slot, expecting some of it to be going sideways. And we really feel that we're hurting the micro population down in the soil because it's too rich of fertilizer, if you want to call it that. The manure is too rich, and you're applying too much in a little slot. If there was a way to band it out across the whole field, some of them have there's injections tools out there that have it on 20 inch or 15 inches, whatever across, but you're still not applying enough across the surface. We are applying less manure, but more often. Less rate, but more often. That, I believe, is helping the soils tremendously better than a heavy application rate once.
Thanks.
So some may say by injecting the manure, we're losing nitrogen. That's the big push on the injection tools. But then, yet, if that is so true, then why is everybody following back behind again with the urea spreader? If you're saving all your nitrogen, why are you going back with the urea spreader and putting more nitrogen back out there? If you're saving it, what they say. That's what we're looking at.
Yeah, I was just asking. I was curious.
No, that's fine.
Jamie, did you have another question? No. Okay,
No,
Leanne, go ahead.
sorry.
No worries.
Yes, I just wanted to echo for the rest of the committee that our experience as an organic farm is backing up some of what they're finding. We gave up chemical fertilizer in 2005. And we also started seeing a lot more clover in all of our cropland when we did that. And we also spread our liquid manure on the surface. And we have found that to be very effective. We actually, when we became certified organic in 2008, in order to make the manure go farther, we reduced our application rate by somewhere between a third and half, and we still find it very effective fertility. We don't put on hardly anything for nitrogen. We do use an organic fertilizer in selected locations at some particular times when the soil tests indicate the manure isn't keeping up, but that's very targeted and not frequent.
Guys, do you mind if I bring up the one sort of cautionary note in your soil health report?
Go for it.
I brought it up, but didn't I? You guys mentioned that you're spreading less but more often. And so compaction is that cautionary note in your soil health report, right? I mean, everything else that came back on that Cornell soil health assessment looked pretty good. And again, you know, there's room for interpretation in all those parameters, but compaction is one of the areas where you guys have some challenges. So how are you thinking about minimizing compaction, given that you are married to spreading the manure so often?
I think more crop rotations, more often rotating out of the crop instead of being so long in a hayfield. I think that's where we need to transition out of there and keeping the soils looser that way. So kind of instead of like a 5 or 7 year rotation, you know, of being in a hayfield, I think we need to go less, not as long, and rotate out of there so it doesn't get compacted. I think that's what we're looking at.
Do you want to say it? Say it
You can
loud.
say it.
Say it loud.
And the other thing that we had started also with the cover cropping is that we're growing radishes with that. So like you said, Sean, that there is compaction, but growing them in the soil, it helps reduce the compaction also. And when you're going to have a sooner crop rotation, you're getting those tubulars in the ground and getting those established to break up any compaction.
And you guys mentioned sorghum Sudan before. I'm actually working on a SARE proposal today as well. And one of the things I've come across in the SARE proposal is some research that backs up what you guys have told me before, that sorghum Sudan does seem to help alleviate some compaction. So you might be seeing some of those effects.
I had a question of whether, so you mentioned when you first started, you have seen some yield reduction, right? But now you're kind of steady, but not quite back up to the thing. And I was wondering if you've done, you know, even if it's just back of the envelope, like any calculations to understand what that loss, whether it evens out with you not using your chemicals or changing in that practice. You know what I mean? Like kind of like the economic analysis of changing from the strategies of using synthetic fertilizer or chemicals to terminate your crops versus losing the yields. You know what I mean? Like, so is it like, does it even itself out because you're not spending it on chemicals or fertilizers, or do you not know? I mean, you could not know. I have no idea if you've been thinking like that.
I kind of want to say we don't know.
Yeah.
Because we don't. We don't have that number. But on the production side of crops is probably not where we would like to see it, correct? But when you look at also cow health side of things, we are far better than we've ever been on cow health. We don't see that usage of drugs like we were, or cows getting sick as often. So we have a better gut health, and that turns into better cow health.
Because we're feeling that I think there's some research out there, whatever, but that all the sprays and all the pesticides and the commercial fertilizers, whatever, are bringing in chemicals that the plants are absorbing, which when we harvest the feed, go into the feed, and then the cow consumes that. So that's where what Sid's talking about is that is no longer there. It's coming away. It's going out.
Are there any other questions? Awesome. Well, thank you guys very much for sharing your experience with us. And Sean, thank you for coordinating, helping us bring them in. I think that we really benefit from, hearing from how everyone's doing it around the state, so that we can try and make the most informed recommendations that we do. I think that this is just us dipping our toe into this type of kind of learning about this, different strategies to reduce pesticides and synthetic fertilizer. So I think that we're in our, absorbing as much information as we can. So thank you. Did I see it? Sean, did you have your hand up? I missed it, but go ahead, you can talk.
Oh, I put it up and then put it back down again. But since you gave me the floor,
go for it.
do you guys think, this is one question that I might shoehorn in here, I guess. It changes the labor dynamic on the farm, the way that you are, and then by extension, your lifestyles and how much time you have to spend working versus doing other things you might want to do. How does the way you're doing things impact that?
That's a real question. It does impact it, whatever. It does take longer. But I guess overall, because our goal, whatever, is to have better soil health, because in long term, whatever, we're looking more for sustainability for the farm. And it's coming at a cost, whatever, so you don't have as much family time, or it's taking longer and takes more employee time, or labor, whatever, to be doing it. Yes, for sure. But we can't be looking at using everything else, whatever, all the other usages of things, whatever, as a scapegoat. We can't be using that, whatever, there, so that means, do we need to hire more help, whatever? Yeah, we need to. So that comes at a cost too. but that's where you're stuck. We're stuck at a conundrum, I guess, if you want to look at it in that aspect.
But for you,
And
it's a
so easy
priority.
to go call somebody
For you, it's a priority to feel like you're doing what is in your mind the right thing, though, right? I mean, that's what I'm hearing.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
But then again, Sean, looking at it from an employee perspective, I farm because I like to farm.
Yeah.
So do I mind the time and the hours? No. Do I think I get a better quality product at the end of what we're doing? Yes. I spent way too many years on the organic side of this, doing the same thing I'm doing now with very high success. Instead of relying on, I need more fertilizer. We did the work. Same way we did when our parents and grandparents were doing this. They worked. They didn't pick up the phone and call everybody.
Go ahead, Leon.
Would I be correct to draw the conclusion that some of what you lose in time and maybe expense of the way that you're doing the crops, you're getting back because you mentioned the cows are healthier?
Yes.
Stephanie?
I was wondering, you had mentioned in terms of your soil health work that you would like to rotate crops more frequently. Will that require a greater land base than you currently have? Or can you even calculate how many acres per cow you would need to achieve that rotation desire? And if that's possible. I don't even know if that's possible to answer. Thanks.
Yes, we do need more land base. So we're always looking for that, but but the land base, yeah, I guess that's more basing it on because we need more forage. But also we've noticed too, whatever, we're feeding more forage to the cattle too. On a dry matter basis, or we don't really have that number, whatever, on how much more they're consuming, but as a percentage, we're feeding a lot more forage than other dairies are. So feeding more forage takes a lot more forage too. It takes more land to fill that. So when we don't quite have enough the yield, it goes back to the conundrum I was talking about. We don't have the yield quite there yet, but we're feeding more too. And the cattle are consuming more of that feed, the forage, because they want more of it. So we're stuck in this, if you want to call it a rut, whatever, but we don't quite have enough feed to feed the animals.
Thank you.
So it is very easy, and it's, bring us more, whatever, quick, bring us a little bit of something, whatever, to get some of that yield, but we're not going to do it, but that's where we're trying to find. We're still in growing stages.
Thanks.
Go ahead, Jess.
You said you're not getting the volume or the quantity that you're looking for. It's come down since you've been doing it this way. Well, how are your components measuring out the quality of what you're putting up?
Higher than we used to be on when we were feeding haylage or or chemical, not really chemical, but fertilizer based feed. We have a lot more cut chewing on the health side. That's where I'm saying is we got a higher fat and protein now than we used to because we're 100% baleage with a little bit of haylage in the diet. But cut chewing is far more extensive now than it ever has been. I don't want to say it almost out loud, but this past year of 25, I don't think we had one DA cow. And you might say, oh, it's just because of this or that. But I feel overall, looking at cut chewing and gut health, manures, it is a lot better than we used to be.
Interesting.
Anybody else? Well, great. Thank you guys so much. You're welcome to stay and hear the rest of what we're talking about, just a little like strategy for a year to come, because it's our first one of 2026. So happy to have you here and, ask questions as you'd like. So with that, I'm going to move on. So the next thing on the agenda was our Agency of Ag update, which basically is what we've been updating you on the whole time. And so I'm going to turn it over to Zach to tell us where we are with our neonic treated seed and neonic pesticide rulemaking.
Yep. Hello, everybody. So the agency just submitted the adopted rule filing last Friday, January 23rd, 2026. We went through 3 testimonies at the Legislative Committee on Administrative Rules. The committee approved of it unanimously last Thursday, January 22nd. And the rule is in the same format it was in when we filed correction. There are some minor amendments to the introduction, section 1 of the rule, regarding just some clarification language around application of other existing laws, regulations, but otherwise the rule remains largely the same as it was when we filed the final proposed rule with LCAR and the Secretary of State in December of 2025. The rule will become effective February 7th of next month, and is like I said, is the same as presented numerous times at 2 legislative committees over 2024, 2025, as well as presented during the public comment process over this past summer at the 5 different public hearings that the agency held. And the rule is recommended best practices and includes both best management practices for the use of neonicotinoid treated article seeds and neonicotinoid pesticides. The legislative committee also may be reaching out to us with or some requests to do some education and outreach efforts that the agency is already in the process of doing. So, Steve?
Yeah, well, first of all, I wanted to thank members of the board for all the work that was done on developing the recommendations. And for the folks who are relatively new to the board, the AIB worked on this starting from the end of 2022 all the way through 2023 and a good part of 2024. to develop a set of recommendations to the agency on the best management practices, which then we took and developed into the best management practices, and then went through the whole rulemaking process that Zach described, which is extensive. And all that information is available if you want to look back at it. We had 5 public hearings, got a lot of public comment, responded to every comment, every written comment. It's all in the record. And like Zach said, it was approved by the Legislative Committee on Administrative Rules, which is the last step prior to adoption. Going forward, what we need to do, and we'll keep the board informed about it, is provide education and training to folks who would be using neonicotinoid treated seeds and or neonicotinoid pesticides. And so we'll be working on a series of webinars and, educational material. And Sean, we're looking at you here, buddy. We'll probably be working with you on some of that too. Just getting the word out about the best management practice. I've already been talking to Heather about it. And anyway, so there's going to be a lot going forward as we move forward over the next couple of years prior to the implementation of the actual prohibition in 2028. So again, thanks everybody for all the work you did.
Thank you, guys. And I can put a link, Zach, that like the final rule, like with just those minor things, is that link? Can I put a link in like our minutes?
Yes. Yeah. I'm also going to need to update the website as well.
Yeah, it will be on our website too, right? Yep. Okay. Great. Okay, so the next thing is survey plan. So we know, so I can actually probably share this quickly so we can kind of get our head around it. So this is the statute that formed the Agricultural Innovation Board, right? So this is where it lists, so there's 12 charges. It also lists so who should be a member. And then here is where we have to every year. So it says survey farmers from every county in the state to help better understand how agricultural inputs such as pesticides, synthetic fertilizers, and plastics are currently used, as well as current challenges farmers face in reducing these inputs in order to better inform recommendations to be provided in the annual report, which we talked about at the beginning of the meeting. So we have not had the best success at getting lots of participation in surveys, right? History is we did one, like the first major survey was a pretty, maybe 15 to 20 questions, and we utilized agency listservs to kind of disseminate it. We also went to like the heads of all the growers associations and the farmer alliances and the watershed coalitions, and tried to disseminate it that way. I would say we did get representation. I think that was in 23, or 24. Sorry, sometimes they go together. And we did get all 14 counties represented, but I think we still had maybe 40 responses. It was sent to hundreds of people. So then other strategies we've used, we've had a much smaller, so only a couple questions, 2 or 3 questions. We have used it as poll questions So in 24, we used it as a poll question during an applicator training that was put on by UVM Extension. So that obviously, you know, when you're in the training anyway, you have to do a virtual training, you have to answer a poll question. So we got good participation in that, but it was limited. You can do 2 questions, basically 3 questions max. So we've tried that strategy. And we also used the another UVM disseminated survey that was being disseminated anyway, and we kind of added our 2 to 3 questions to that. We didn't get great participation in that, partly because that was kind of Northeast wide, and so it was only Vermont was only 9, I think, of the 20 or so participants. So one thing, we do have something already in the books. So if you guys remember Tom Gates from the Ben and Jerry's Caring Dairy program, who came and talked to us at the end of last year. So that Caring Dairy program, it has about 50 participating farms. And they every year ask those participants questions to kind of get some metrics. And they had some metrics that they shared with us about plastics. And so we had asked him when he was here presenting to the AIB, hey, can we add some questions? If you're doing this every year anyway, they're used to getting a survey from you with questions. Can we add some? And so he was on board with that. So we do have 2 questions that Ben and Jerry's is going to include in their Caring Dairy member survey. And so the first, and they're both plastic, so they were already asking about plastics. So it kind of just, they'll follow that plastics question on his existing survey. So the first question is, if recycling bale wrap and or bunker cover cost the same as disposal in a landfill, would you participate in a recycling program? It's simple, yes, no. And then the second question is, what types of support or resources would help you recycle and or reuse agricultural plastic? Sorry, it's just in my minutes, but so you'll see this if you're like to read it instead. So the second one is, what types of support or resources would help you recycle and or reuse agricultural plastics? Select your top 2. So this is just to get a sort of prioritization of, okay, what things might be more useful to people. So financial incentives, access to programs, educational resources, availability of alternatives. And then Tom suggested, I didn't know if it was if his survey could have a free form answer, but he said yes, and he suggested to have an other here so people could write in what they wanted, free form. I think these questions, I had to go. They had to, sorry, Tom and I were kind of had to do it in the first week of January. So these are out the door, but we have other survey options that we should do. But I guess, so now I'm going to open up to members of, what do you want to know in a survey? What questions should we ask? And then how do you think we can increase participation in disseminating a survey? There's one other thing. So that we did. So Steve and I had a call with Nate Norse, who I don't believe is on the call today, but so he's our member that represents fruit and vegetable growers in Vermont. And so he had a suggestion. And so last week they had the Vermont Vegetable and Berry Growers Association meeting. And so we tried to, we had a presence there. We had a table. We didn't have time on the agenda, but we had a table. And so we had a QR code to sign up. So we kind of had like a promotional poster that said, hey, like, get your voice heard, will you sign up to participate in our next survey? So we had a QR code to sign up for that, and a paper option to just write your name and email and say, hey, sign up to get our next survey at that meeting. And we did not receive anybody. signing up to receive the survey. So the second thing we also did last week is that members from plant industry of Agency of Ag went to basically like a growers meeting at Boucher Ag Services last week. We did have time on the agenda there. So we also brought that same like QR code sign up to receive a survey from us, have your voice heard, and the paper sign up. And again, we didn't have anybody sign up from that venue either. Okay, so now I'm going to stop talking and see if any members have any ideas. One of just questions you want to ask, but then also two of how we might get a survey out there.
What about going back to the original people that we worked with the first time? You get, what, 19 respondents? Is that what we got the first year?
I think so. I have to go back and look now that I've seen too many things.
That seems like pretty good results compared to what we've gone. Hard to ask for volunteers to fill out a survey.
Yeah.
So for us on the dairy side of things, on that, you know, recycling must have been probably 15 years ago. I was trying to work with Casella's waste management part of that to get some kind of program going with recycling all the, because we're heavy baleage usage, which is the net wrap, not the net wrap, but the bale wrap. So we tried getting a pilot program going with that to recycle all of it. We gathered all of the plastics up that we could. I mean, a lot of the farmers actually brought in the stuff, what they wanted to do to Casella's or the transfer stations. It worked, but there's no, it fell out because there's no end users that want to use that material because it's too dirty. What they classified as being too dirty because it's got a little bit of feed in there or because it comes off of the bunk feed in wintertime. Feed is a little bit frozen to it. So that just kind of, it was always too dirty for them. They didn't want it. So now I just had a phone call with Casella's just last week. He's trying to up and get it going again because he had in contact with somebody that's in the plastics department, not from Casella's, but from somebody out of Canada. They're trying to get something going now again with that because they have a different way of utilizing that plastic now. I don't want to get into the details of it because it's still in a talking process of it, but I guess if we want to move forward and get all of these plastics together from the farms, I think there needs to be like a dumpster or a container or something where the farmers can just put the plastics only in that container. No trash, no nothing. It needs to be on the farm. Casella's don't really know how to expand this project because it is a large volume of plastics that come from the farms across the state and, you know, everywhere's. They don't know really how to charge the farmers there, and they don't really want to get a charge for it, but how do you look at it on that aspect of things? If there's an avenue where they can, at the end usage and make some money, not really make money, but it would cover all the cost of having a separate truck running around to the farms, just picking up only plastics, that would be beneficial to get the recycling of the plastics more widely accepted. But it has to be on the farm side of things too, whatever that, hey, and I think a lot of farmers are willing to recycle their plastics if there's no extra charge, because right now it just goes into trash and I'm just picked up, you know, weekly or bi-weekly, whichever that's where the talk is that with Casellas, whatever, they don't know how to go that route. But the end user needs to do something with that, I guess. I don't know if that answered any questions or brought it up any questions, or that was my input, I guess.
Yeah, we greatly appreciate it. I think, yeah, that's what we found. And just to say, we'll mention later too, that we're trying to, we may have Casella in at a future meeting to try and talk through what they're seeing, what they know, what they like, why it fell through, pilot programs, what they need for a new one to be successful, that kind of thing, so we can hear it. Yeah, too. So I think that's kind of on our to-do list, is to hear it.
So I should give him a heads up and say, hey.
Yeah. Well, we've started already. They know we're learning about it, but yeah. Jamie, go ahead.
Yeah, I think just to echo kind of what you guys are saying, I mean, we feed a couple thousand round bales every winter, so we go through a lot of plastic too. And, I think it just has to be something that's logistically convenient for farms, because it's, it's real easy to just throw it in a dumpster and it goes with the rest of your garbage. So I think if you want farms to get on board with it, you got to make it, that easy for them to do that. And that, and so that it's not an extra liability for the farm necessarily. I mean, the cost of disposing it in a dumpster, there's a cost there. And, do you set it up so that it's incentivized to not be as costly via another form of, disposal, so that you've got another dumpster on site? Or do you, do they set it up as so, if they know they're working with a farm that's dealing with that, it's, some proportion of their monthly bill goes towards that plastic that it would have gone towards anyways, because you need a dumpster to get rid of it, regular dumpster to get rid of it. So yeah, I think for that to be widely accepted, these farms, are going to have to be somewhat incentivized to do it. And, I'm a smaller operation, but, these big farms that are going through tons of bunk plastic and stuff, and that have multiple, different employees managing bunks and all that, you got to have it set up so that it's convenient for them to get rid of it.
And that's what I tried helping with Casellas too at the time, whatever. Once it's in your hands, it needs to go in that dumpster immediately, because then it will stay cleaner. Can't sit on the ground, because once it gets sit on the ground, it gets contaminated.
Yeah, no one wants it lying around their farm either, while they're, while it's freezing to the ground, making a mess while they're waiting for a way to get rid of it, because it's just, if that's the case, then you just throw it in the dumpster and it's gone that week. So yeah, you want it set up conveniently.
Thanks, Jamie. Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, again, just for folks who are relatively new, we've been talking about this for a while, and the Connecticut River Watershed Farmers Alliance is doing a lot of work in this area. They have a program right now, actually, from what I understand. They're actually collecting plastic and taking it to a end user. But obviously, this is something we want to keep up on and learn more about. So I think getting Casella in would probably be the right thing to do, sort of as a next step, along with keep up with what's happening with the Connecticut River Watershed folks.
Yeah, I did reach out to Connecticut River Watershed folks. They did, so they came and talked to us exactly a year ago in March. So I kind of asked for them if they could come. So our next meeting is the end of March. If they could come and give us a year update, hey, a year later, what's going on? So I haven't heard back yet, but I'll keep pestering. But we also will do Casella, yeah. Go ahead, Stephanie. Oh.
Yeah, I was wondering, it sounds like most farms have contracts with haulers of waste. So I'm wondering whether or not a survey in somehow related to the hauling service, like, so that when you, I don't know if it's the bill, but we would have to work with whatever, I mean, I'm assuming it's, I don't know if it's Casella statewide, but maybe that's a way to reach folks when they get something that's relevant to the action regarding recycling plastics in that moment when it's happening. But that would require coordination with Casella. So I don't know if that's possible, but just a thought.
It's a good thought. Put down. Any thoughts? So like continuing the bag plastic route, what types of questions, or building off of the 2 questions we sent to Ben and Jerry's, what information do we want to know? Go ahead, Leon.
As a farmer, just how clean the plastic has to be in order for them to accept it. I mean, we put our feed on a gravel pad. So a lot of times a year, there's a certain amount of sand and small stones stuck to the plastic. As has already been mentioned, there's feed that's stuck to the plastic, especially in this below zero weather that we're dealing with right now. So I'd like to see us get a clear handle on just what's acceptable and what isn't. I've tried to get that from Connecticut River watershed, of which we are a member, and I have not gotten the answers that I need there. So I'd like to get that answer from somewhere.
So Leon, are you part of their pilot program or no?
No, we aren't, because we were part of the program that has been mentioned that Casella did. We're about 30 miles from one of the pickup locations that they had in that pilot. And we actually trucked our plastic there for the year that they did that. And I was willing to do that because it felt like doing the right thing. And they never complained about our plastic, but I've gotten feedback that that's one of the problems, is the plastic cleanliness. And so I've never gotten a clear picture of just how clean the current efforts require. So that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Got it. What other information might we want to know from farmers? Yep, Stephanie.
Are we interested in knowing, I'm just trying to play this out in my head. So a farmer fills out the form, like the volume of plastic that they manage on some basis that makes sense, that we could extrapolate. Like if we don't want the whole year, could we get it by month and then we can just multiply it? Or is it just the winter time? And I'm looking to other experts in the room for how we might gauge that. And then number 2, the cost of disposal, either annually or on the same calculation for the volume of the plastic. Just because I think that would help, the concerns being like, what's the market for this material? And I think to some extent, you might be able to establish the market, but they need a constant supply of the material in order to do what they're doing on the other end. And we would need to know how many, if farmers participated, like what's the volume that we're going to contribute to this middle person who then processes it and puts it into other products. So. Thanks.
Go ahead, Leon.
I think that from the farmer end, we could fairly easily, as farmers, figure out how much plastic we buy in a given year. And obviously, what we buy is what ultimately becomes the waste stream.
Yep, that makes sense. So you think that's the best way to frame a question is purchased in a year?
That would be my suggestion.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, that'd be the easiest way, is
Yeah.
because for us, it's a lot of bale wrap, whatever, and okay, so many rolls, one roll of bale wrap weighs, what is it, 80 pounds, 70 pounds or something like that? So when you times that by 150 rolls or no, more than 150 rolls or whatever it is, but boom, you have your tonnage, and then you still have some bunk plastic yet, for us, whatever, but everybody else might be, okay, you're buying 15 rolls, of this plastic, and that roll of plastic weighs, what does a roll of plastic weigh?
I mean, you could just ask for number of rolls, and if it's bump cover, dimensions of the common roll you buy, number of bale wraps you buy, number of net wrap rolls you buy. I mean, that's all relatively standard.
Yes. That's easy,
The only
whatever.
variation is, a little bit of a width in bale wrap. Some people use different widths, but
Correct.
that's like 3-4 inches difference versus, the quantity of rolls is really the easiest way to get at. And most
It's quick and simple. Okay, if you buy 15 rolls of bunk plastic, don't separate out. Okay, do you buy a 40 by 100? Whatever. Don't just flat out. How many rolls of bunk plastic do you buy in a year's time? And then, okay, whatever. And it's fairly easy. Or you guys, there's a way to figure out. Just instead of trying to figure out the weight. Just, okay, if you buy 15 rolls of bunk plastic, then that's it. Don't worry about the weight, whatever. For that farmer to figure it out, whatever.
Right. Well, yeah, we're obviously trying to make it easiest to answer.
And you were asking about the cost of disposal.
Yeah.
Right now, we don't know what our cost of disposal is getting rid of the bunk plastic because it just goes in the dumpster.
If we were to stop putting all the plastic in the landfill dumpster, we would hardly have a trash.
Regular household trash,
Yeah.
because it goes in the same dumpster now. Or the barn
trash.
yes,
whatever.
right. That all goes in the same dumpster. So, and I'm sure of the other farmers too, it's all just goes in there now. So what's the cost gonna be? Well, I don't know.
Well, so maybe it's the full cost. I mean, if you wouldn't have one without plastic, so then almost you could, a conservative way is, okay, well, it's 100% of what you're paying for that dumpster then.
Yes, but you
You're
still have the regular trash in there too, yeah. So what's that cost?
How much we were to take out all the bunk plastic, we would only have a trash pickup maybe once a month.
Right.
If that. But we have a weekly pickup and it's over full.
No, it's not. It's under the sides.
It should be picked up twice a week, but I mean, it's.
Well, let Casellas know that. Come on.
Okay, so that's a little bit harder to parse out, basically, is cost.
It wouldn't be just your regular trash bill.
Yeah.
It would be a percentage of that trash bill, whatever that is.
Go ahead, Sylvia.
Hi, thanks. I would just like to say that when we were talking about trash or landfill, there's only one landfill in Vermont. That's up in Coventry, Vermont. And whatever comes out of that landfill contaminates that watershed. And we're trying to prevent more leachate from that landfill from ending up in Lake Memphremagog, which is drinking water for 175,000 Canadians, plus numerous Vermonters. They haven't really quite mastered the art of keeping PFAS out of that watershed. So every effort we can make, which is commendable on your part, to recycle or find another way to reuse plastic is commendable, is really necessary, really important. So please try to keep working on that issue. There are people who live up there next to that landfill, and fish in that lake have ugly cancers on them. So let's, everything's connected. We know that. Thank you for the word, for your work on this.
Thank you. Stephanie?
Yeah, I was just thinking in terms of the volume of plastic versus household waste. Maybe we could ask Casella. They might be able to assist with an audit to just extrapolate, to get some broad numbers on that as well. So, but we can have that conversation when we have Casella in the room.
Yeah. Go ahead, Leon.
We would need to know from Casella what percentage of Vermont waste they handle, because they don't operate in the entire state. And the other thing, Morgan, if you set it up to try to collect from farmers how much plastic they buy, with bale wrap, I believe there are only two widths of bale wrap, 20-inch and 30-inch. So you might want to get that into the question.
Okay. So it sounds like volume is a good question to ask. Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
When do we have to do the survey? What's our timeline for that?
It's just in the year. It's just to be in the annual report.
Okay, so we have a little time to
So-
figure out what we're doing. Okay.
Right. So we'll write the annual report in December 26th.
No, we have to do the survey between now and then. I'm just wondering when we'll actually do the survey.
Correct. Right. Yeah.
So that's my question. When do we normally do it, or do we have a normal time?
No, because we've done it different ways. We've been all over the map.
Well, anybody on that's might be good chance to get some feedback from board members about when's a good time to do.
When we're not busy.
Meaning now.
Which is like
Never.
tomorrow for one day.
Jessica?
Yes, at the meeting up at Boucher's Ag, the people there said that would be more apt to do the survey if we had them in hand while we were there, rather than doing a QR code and trying to remember. Like, if you bring them, we'll do them, but trying to remember to do them at a later date or scan a code or signing up for it's not something they were interested in. Just a tidbit of information that I got for feedback.
Yeah, that's good. And as we were talking about before, we're going to be doing some training. We're going to have to do training and meetings on the BMPs. So that might be an opportunity so maybe we just do the survey as we go through the year every time we get a chance.
Is it available to be printed out and handed out at meetings? And
Yeah,
we can.
yeah, exactly.
We don't have
absolutely.
yet. We can make it whatever we.
to me, that would be
The best.
the easiest
Paper.
for like in person. You've got a bunch of farmers in a room, pass it around, and We'll let them leave until they do it.
Lock the door.
Yeah, okay.
If you want lunch, you got to fill it in.
Lunch is free, but.
But
Go ahead, Leon.
You're not going to get all the farmers, but if you piggybacked onto meetings that they're already going to, such as milk cooperative meetings and those kind of things, then you'd certainly get some of the farmers that way, because I agree, if you're going to get them to do it, you got to hand it to them and have them do it right now.
I would say if you can keep it to as few questions as possible, so it's a quick 30-second, get the basics, get what you need, not too much thought, just get answers and move on.
Yep. So the one thing that I just thought of though is the farmer handed a piece of paper gonna know how many rolls of bill wrap
I was
right
just
off the
thinking that
top of your
myself.
head.
Would we know that number right off? No.
You don't know
meeting
exactly, but you
above.
know it's 20, not 80. Or, I mean, I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah,
how
yeah,
exact
yeah.
it has to be, but if there's a general idea that, you use 30 bales last year, or a pallet, right?
Yeah.
Used a pallet and a half or something.
Yeah, so you can say that too. Okay, we used XYZ pallets of this product.
Right, there's roughly 40 or whatever it is on a pallet or something. I mean, to try to narrow it down to the nearest
Yes.
roll is going to be difficult, but if you say roughly how many did you use?
That'd be the easiest way. It's quick and simple, and you got an idea already that how many rolls of bunk plastic you use. I guess, that's kind of. Is it 15 or is it 16 or 17? Whatever, who cares? 15 is close enough, then no number.
Correct.
And
don't say exactly, then you won't get an answer.
Yeah, estimate, approximate. Okay.
About.
Squiggly line. That's okay. Okay,
If that,
so yeah, go.
Morgan, just a thought, if that doesn't seem like it's working, would it be feasible to get the information from the suppliers, those that we buy it from? How much do you sell in a given year?
Yeah, how many? I mean, you guys tell me. Do you think it's a lot of different suppliers or handful? Very.
You may not be able to get the details that you want as to whether it's just Vermont, York, or, I don't know how important it is to have county information. I know on our survey response, that's one of the pieces we need. So.
That's probably correct. Can that idea.
I like it. I mean, we just gotta talk them through. Go ahead, Jamie, if you had something.
Good idea to put in trash.
Yeah, no, I think we came back around to it, but I know that, more and more people are sourcing a lot of that stuff online now too. So,
yeah,
as opposed from, directly from individual suppliers. So it might be tough to get the information you want without just talking directly to farms and seeing where they're getting it from.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so if we get this going, gotta have something. So maybe between now and March, if you guys keep a lookout, maybe we'll throw a few questions together. So something about volume. And maybe just the 2 questions from Ben and Jerry's also. But cleanliness, I don't know how to. Yeah, Jess.
I would say if you're gonna wait till March, I just wanted to point out, we have both the no-till conference and the dairy conference in February.
Yeah,
That would be potential getting those surveys too.
The pressure.
Yeah, right. No till and dairy con.
That's
NOFA
that's
conference is
February.
February as well.
Yeah, that's
So
what I was
17,
thinking.
You only got 30 days. Less.
2 weeks.
So by
Since
Friday,
February
we need to have
13th, I think.
questions. So
Yeah, that's 2 weeks away. Holy crap.
we'll just do.
Spring is here.
Doesn't it feel like it?
Not this morning. I mean, so we decided to basically focus on plastics for the most part, right?
Oh, well, just because we were talking about it, but yeah,
I
do
think
we want
need
to know
stick
something else?
focus. To me, I think that's our next big work plan is probably this plastics deal. And so whatever we can get to help in the next couple months to give direction to the group, I think would be great. Rather than scattering it so far that we ask too many questions, people don't answer, and we don't get the guidance going forward.
Yeah. I agree with that approach. Yeah.
So if we can just keep it to 5 questions and we can look back to what we asked in the original survey, because we had 2 or 3 on the original survey we did,
Yeah, we have to ask county.
right? We have to have county, we have to have, we don't need names, net towns or anything, right? We just need, yeah. So whatever the 5 questions are pertaining to plastic recycling, how do you do it? And maybe keep it a 1-pager, get as much information as we can from these meetings. Because I think you're gonna hit, 90% of the meetings and participation in the next 30 to 45 days before spring comes. So I think every organization has their meetings in the next 2 months.
Yep. Go ahead, Leon.
I agree with that. We need to get on it. And I was going to offer, Morgan, if you come up with questions, don't hesitate to send them to me and I'll give you the farmer's perspective.
Yes, thank you. I feel like even if right now, all the farmers listening right now, if you could attempt to draft the question on the purchase of the plastic, how it makes the most sense that you would read the question and be able to answer it, right? So like whether it has to be types of plastic, things like that. So that's like.
To me, we know what the plastic types are. You could say, how many rolls of 20-inch wrap do you buy? How many rolls, or whatever the 2 sizes are. And then you could say how much net wrap, because is net wrap one we're worried about, or is that not? Yeah, it's plastic, right?
It's still plastic.
It's still plastic. How many rolls of net wrap do you buy? Or roughly how many, you could have that 1-line sentence at the top. Roughly how much volume of this material do you buy? List the 5 or 6. And the only thing with bunker covers is to say, what is the typical size you buy and how many rolls of it? Because you're not gonna, every bunk requires a little different size cover. But if you could just say, we typically buy a 50 by 150, and that's our common size, and we roughly buy 4 of those rolls or whatever they buy, even though they may buy 160 by 100 instead, or whatever it takes to cover a particular bunk, at least you can get some quantitative number.
So we'll have each with the bale wrap.
Right.
What is it?
No, I would not. I would only say, do you use bale wrap? Yes or no? And
How many
how
rolls?
much? How
How
much
many
do you
rolls?
use? Whether you use 20-inch, just going back to what you're saying, whether you use 20-inch or 30-inch,
Doesn't really matter.
doesn't matter.
It's
It's wrap.
Then you can go back and figure out, okay, now you can go to one dealer and ask, hey, what does the 1 roll weigh? That's all you need to go and ask them. Okay, we're doing a survey. We just need to know what a roll would ask, instead of asking the farmer, what does that roll weigh? Okay, now you can go back to your research answers, your survey answers, and say, okay, yes, okay, now you've got so many hundreds of rolls of bale wrap times weight done. So.
Go ahead, Steve.
Sorry. Yeah, so this is great. A lot of good input. I think obviously we have a timing issue here. So we need to do is put together some questions in the next few days, really, and send it out to everybody. But we're not going to be able to do this at the next meeting is all I'm getting at. We're going to have to do this between now and the next meeting. So we need to get that together. One thing I'd ask too, when I mean, I'm not sure we know of all the meetings that happen, I mean, we're not invited to a lot of them. I'm not aware of a lot of them. So we can send you the list of the meetings we know about, but if you know of a meeting we don't know about, that might be good to do this thing, if you could let us know that too. Or, if you're going to the meeting and you're a board member and you're going to the meeting, you can take the survey, with you and hand it out. That's one of the things, Nate was saying is, as a board member, he can speak to how important the survey is. Express that to the other folks. So anyway, we could definitely use your assistance in getting the survey instrument out there. So anyway.
So my question is, how would you approach the farmer if you're at a meeting? How would you approach the farmer and say, hey, I have a quick little survey over there of, let's say, just for plastic, whatever. Sometimes the farmers are always asked for surveys, and it's like they're always being nosy, I guess, and we don't want it to be nosy from the survey questionnaire or even the people asking the questions, but how do you not? Because now
all you can do is tell them what you're doing. Hey, the Agriculture Innovation Board is looking for information because we're trying to solve a problem. And the more, and the more information we can get.
Just help us quick for a minute and good enough.
Yep.
And the other piece you could do is, first question you ask, do you think this is an issue for you?
Right.
Which we had, that's why, right? That was one of our two questions in the last couple ones was what thing of environmental concern, right, is the most important to you, right? And it was and the things that rose to the top were ag plastic and non-target effects of pesticides. So we had the neonic in there to pollinators, I think was reported like that. So we had neonics for the VMPs and then this, but yeah, exactly. Go ahead, Sean, you've been patient.
I heard net wrap come up a little bit ago. Is that being recycled? I was at Connecticut River Watershed Farmer Alliance last week, and I feel like I heard someone there say that net wrap was a recycling no-no right now. Maybe that's just within the program that they're working with, but I just wanted clarification on that.
I think I can shed a little light on that. I have heard that it is a much different plastic to recycle, and they don't want the two mixed together.
Okay, maybe that's. Were you there last week, Leon? I feel like you were there.
No, I didn't go.
Okay.
Clark, is that what your understanding too?
Yeah, that's how I understand it. They're just looking at the film, recycling the film. People are curious. I just looked. A roll of 30-inch wrap weighs 58 pounds.
Thank you.
I think one product to add is a vapor barrier. Is a product to ask about for quantity anyways.
Vapor barrier?
Correct. That goes with the bunk plastic.
Does it come in? Okay, so doesn't come in a roll, really?
Yes.
Oh, it's a roll?
It's a roll. Okay. Put the vapor barrier down and then you put the plastic on top.
But they also have the plastic with vapor barrier together. They're sandwiched together.
Okay. So some people might buy it as one product and some people buy it as two products.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I know we're running a little bit late on our agenda, which is fine. So we'll draft some questions. So members, please look in your email probably the end of this week to just give an okay of some questions. If we throw the questions and say yay, nay, add this, do this, this makes more sense written this way. So we'll get that out to you as soon as possible. And yeah, and so members also, even if you think it's already, if we obviously know about it or not, like if you could just send me an email with meetings you know that are upcoming, and so then we'll know, nothing is a dumb meeting, like tell me all of them that you know about, and so then we can just make sure that, like, I'll just create a master list, right? So then we know we're trying to capture all of them that we're going to. So that can be your action item, and my action item would be the list of questions. How about that? Okay. Okay, so the last thing before public comment was just planning for 2026. I think we've done it kind of as we were talking. So yes, plastics. We've got, hopefully, so we'll try and keep on Casella, Connecticut River Watershed Farmers Alliance. Other options are plastic alternatives. We haven't really learned much about that yet, so that's on my radar as far as development of things and research around that. So either going EU and doing some sort of lit review or something like that. It's on my radar. But if there's other things other than what we've talked about, please let me know. So the other two options as far as planning for 26, one is to continue kind of, so like, we've had a Talk Farm here today, is to kind of, we have an option of continuing that, right? So having, other farms in that have different practices. We keep learning from how everyone else is learning as they're out there doing it. So how they're utilizing practices that reduce either use of pesticides or synthetic fertilizers. There's also some UVM researchers that are doing some studies. I think Stephanie and Pam sent me one recently about wool, sheep shearings being used as an alternative to soil amendments. An alternative soil amendment to synthetic fertilizers. So that's an opportunity for us in that vein too. So I think our focus will be plastics, but we do have this kind of other avenue to keep kind of dropping in as we see fit. The members think that's okay to do, or give me suggestions. I'm happy to hear otherwise. And the last thing that we know is also on our list is pest risk assessments. So we have to hear from Dr. Darby. So that's on my list to reach out to get an update on her research. So the pest risk assessment, just for jog everyone's memory. So that is part of the requirement for, yeah, go Stevie, you're gonna explain it better.
Yeah. So under Act 182, there's a provision that allows, which is a prohibition of the use of neonicotinoid treated seeds. There's a provision that the secretary can grant an exemption to allow the use of the seed if a pest risk assessment is completed. So what we want to do is discuss with the AIB and get recommendations on that pest risk assessment based on the research that's being done. We also will be hearing from the state of New York is going to go through the same process and hear what they're thinking and what they're looking at. So anyway, it'll just be a series of discussions about what a pest risk assessment is and what constitutes it and what should be involved or considered in it. So, and we have a little time. I mean, we need to have something pretty well nailed down by 2028. So we got a little time. But it's just something that we'll be discussing with the board over the course, of the next year or two.
Okay. So not at the top of our list, but
Yeah, we're not, going to stop
On the
everything else.
yeah.
But we'll be hearing about it and talking about it.
So in your pest risk assessment, when you're going to be checking in with those farms, when they say that they have the pest, are you going to be checking in with that particular farm on their crop rotations?
Crop rotation could be part of the risk assessment process, potentially.
So that is a question you will be already asking them, or that's just
No. So the way well, we haven't developed it yet, but the idea is you have to have a pest risk. That's what the statute says. A pest risk assessment has to be provided by the applicant for the exemption. So the question is, what is that? And so Heather Darby and the folks in New York, the Cornell folks, have been looking at what factors affect the pests that are a risk to the crop that are controlled by the treated seed. So quantification and identification of those risk factors is what has to happen. And crop rotation is probably part of it. But
that needs to be looked at too, whatever. If you don't have enough crop rotations, whatever, then you're.
Well, that is potentially a factor. But that's all we can say about that at this point, is that it's probably a factor. Yeah. We'll be learning a lot. So anyway, that's just something we're going to be talking about for a while, so everyone's aware.
Got it. Wonderful. I think I'll still have Heather come and talk to us.
Oh yeah.
Sometime. It might not be March. It might be the next one, but yeah.
Yeah, we're going to be hearing from Heather a lot, and from the folks in New York too.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Sean, are you involved in any of that work?
We have not. Heather's working with George Foster and a couple of the other farmers in Addison County, but we haven't been part of that work. No.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Just because I want to be conscious of our time. So the last thing I have is just public comment, unless does any member want to say anything else as far as planning for upcoming meetings or about the survey? Okay, so with that, go ahead, Leon.
Well, I found today's presentation by another farmer to be very helpful. So I wonder if we don't continue having farmers come in to share innovative practices that they're using that reduce pesticide or chemical use on their farms.
I hear you, Leon, and I agree. Thank you very much for coming today. And I think I'll keep that as an action item of trying to bring in more people so that we can hear and learn and have them participate with us. So thanks. Yeah, I think I'm going to add that.
Sylvia's got a question.
Yep. So, Sylvia, I'm going to open it up for public comment now. So if you have a comment, go right ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for this meeting. I want to say that at least 6 of your 12 directives pertain to pesticide reduction. Also, the 2020-30 farm to plate plan calls for 20% reduction of pesticides by 2030. That's a very modest goal. I would urge you to find a way to maybe develop a subcommittee to move forward on ways to reduce pesticides. I think we know a fair amount, and we're hearing some good stuff from farmers. We'll be hearing more, and I appreciate that. But it's I'm concerned that there's a lot of poisoning of the land of pollinators and people going on in this state. I know farmers are not the only ones that use pesticides, but it's a pretty large percent. So I urge you to consider creating a subcommittee to begin work on this mandate before your next meeting in March. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Okay, thank you all for your participation today. Keep a lookout for communications from myself, and keep letting me know upcoming meetings, etc. And our next meeting is March 23rd. It'll be the 4th Tuesday of March. So thank you all. Enjoy your snowy afternoon.
Hey, Morgan, do we have meetings scheduled out throughout the whole year, or is it just one at a time? How are we doing that?
They should be on your calendars throughout the year. So it's every other month, the 4th Tuesday.
Okay.
So
All
it
right,
should
great.
be on your calendars. Yep.
Steve?
Yes.
I'm going to give you a call or shoot you a text. I would like to set up standing meetings with you and myself and Dr. Darby, just so we can all keep abreast of things that we should all be working on together.
Hey, sounds great to me, man. Give me a
All
holler.
right. That's coming from my boss, Callahan. So I guess you talked to him yesterday, but I'll be in touch.
Yeah, we had a great conversation.
Yeah,
we need
yeah.
to have him come into the AIB actually too. So
We're working on that. We're working on at least getting somebody from the Center for Sustainability, if not Dr. Callahan.
Yep, great. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Yep. See you.
All right. All right.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.